Hi, it's David, and I thought I would let me do my advertising first if I can, because the Mormon Church crawls all my videos, and I get paid extra if they advertise on mine, and I can hit their crawler by saying Mormon, 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 LDS, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mitt Romney. There, I made a little of my tithing money back. 3 cents. Let me share with you a patriarchal blessing. This is something that most non-members don't know anything about in the Mormon Church, and it's kind of an interesting area. It's kind of like Ouija boards and crystal balls. But anyway, when you become 12 years old in the Mormon Church, you're eligible for what's called a patriarchal blessing. And what this is that you go and you get a bishop's interview, and then the stake president interviews you. And of course, you're 12, and the main question is, do you masturbate? So you either lie, and most people do, or you say no. And then they ask you if you associate with any apostate organizations like my videos. And you say no, you just lie again. And eventually you get a recommend. So, okay, a recommend. Now you can go to the temple, and now you can be first class in the Mormon Church. Well, you make an appointment. You call the stake patriarch. Now, the stake patriarch is over generally 9 wards in the Mormon hierarchy of geographical area. And the state president is always old. He's. I used to think he was really old. Now that I'm old, he doesn't seem that old. But anyway, 60s, 70s, whatever. And you make an appointment, and then you dress in your Sunday best, and you go to his house, not the chapel, not the church, but you go to his house, and you're all dressed up, and basically your parents don't go with you. When I went and did this, no parents were allowed, which is usual. The Mormon Church doesn't want parents around because they'll see their kids being abused and complain. So you're invited in, and the patriarch sits down with you, and he just chats a little bit and says, how are you doing in school, and how are your friends, and how's your testimony in the church, and some general things of your goals, aspirations, and desires. Okay, now, back in the old days, when they just had tape recorders, they barely had those when I was young, let alone all this technology. But anyway, there used to be just tape recorders. Nowadays, they have much more sophisticated technology. It used to be that someone had to take the tape recorder and then type all of the information down, and then they would give you it's on a legal size piece of paper, and usually it's 1 page, maybe 1.5 pages when you turn it over. And nowadays, I think it's automatically recorded, probably by a voice-activated microphone, and you get it within a week or two. Now, your patriarchal blessing is always stored in Salt Lake in the secret. Their bathrooms are secret. Everything. Their toilet paper is secret or sacred. They have a huge vault up in the canyon in the mountain that is supposed to withstand a nuclear explosion at the door. And the way this church acts, they may need that door. I don't know. But they put all of their artifacts in their letters, and they say that the Ark of the Covenant is in there, and they say the Sword of Laban, maybe the gold plates. I don't know what's in that mountain. But it has its own water supply, its own food supply. It can go for like 2 years with the doors locked and the people inside. So your patriarchal blessing is up there, and you can always get a copy of it. So on the process, he puts you in a chair by yourself, and then he goes around to the behind of the chair, and he puts both hands on your head. And then he begins to speak, I guess, through the Lord, through the Jesus. I did a lot of extrasensory perception research in college with my master's degree, And, you know, there's channeling. I think that's the closest extrasensory area that I would say this patriarchal blessing. It's not really a crystal ball because there's no ball on the table like in the House of Mansions at Disneyland. There's nothing like that. But he puts his hands on your head, and he doesn't chant, but he has a monotone kind of a voice, I guess like Jesus. And then he begins to pronounce this blessing upon you. Now, if this isn't fortune telling, and if this isn't crystal ball, and if this isn't a seance or hocus pocus, I don't know what is. So he starts off by saying, Brother David, having the authority of the Melchizedek priesthood, I, Patriarch Johnson, lay my hands upon your head and give you a patriarchal blessing. You are a chosen son of Israel, and your heritage is through Ephraim. Of the 12 tribes, you are from the tribe of Ephraim. Now, if you're black, I don't know if he says you're I don't know if he says, you're from the loins of Cain. That's what they believe. And I don't know if you're Polynesian or Filipino. They don't really identify whether you're European or whatever, but he declares your lineage, okay, supposedly through revelation. I hope it's not as good as the DNA evidence for the Book of Mormon showing that the Lamanites are truly Asians, not Jews. So anyway, he just begins that way, and then he'll say something like, you're really, really blessed, and you will be going on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and basically your mission will convert many, many people who will be happy, and people in the eternities are watching you and cheering for your success. My patriarchal blessing basically said that I was to obey my parents. I tried to do that. It also said that I would have direct revelation, that Jesus would appear to me, and that he would give me things to do, like Joseph Smith, I don't know, start my own church or something. But that's true. I'm not BSing you. It really did say you will have direct revelation from the Lord pertaining to your own particular needs. And so he also said your posterity will be great in number. Now here's where the cult influence begins. Of course, it begins in primary when you're 3 or 4 years old. But when you're 12, you're very, very impressionable. And when he said, your posterity will be great in number, as a 12-year-old boy, I thought, hey, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it, And I have 14 kids. Now there is an example of cult type subliminal training. If you've ever looked into these fields, please do, and on the internet. Coca-Cola sold millions and millions of dollars worth of Coke in movie theaters by flashing signs of Coke up so quickly that only your subconscious mind could see it. Your conscious mind never saw it, but when it came time for snack time, everyone went out and bought Cokes. So this patriarch played and laid into my subconscious that I would have a large posterity. Now, in the Mormon church, that's a wonderful thing. I mean, you're going to be a god, and you're going to have millions of kids, and the beginning of your kids are right here on the earth. So, if I have 14, I'm, 8 or 9 ahead of everybody else. And that's what was my motivation with having all of those children and making that terrible mistake of never being able to properly pay the tithing, and stress. So anyway, it basically will tell you different things. Now, there's been a couple of people. I think that patriarchs have been advised. When you say advised in the Mormon church, it means they've had their ass kicked. And they're not allowed to say this anymore. They've promised some people that they'll stay alive until the second coming of Christ. And we have many, many people in the Mormon church that are almost 200 years old. So you see this comedy, this absolute insane comedy that people will say, well, I can't die. My patriarchal blessing says I need to see Jesus. Well, my patriarchal blessing says I need to see Jesus. And I was laying for quad bypass surgery at the hospital, and 10 minutes before I went in, I said to myself, gee, I've been a Christian my whole life. Maybe Jesus will come now. He didn't. And when the priest came in and said, "Can I pray for you?" I said, "No, God, pray for my surgeon. He knows what he's doing." So a patriarchal blessing is kind of a seance between two people, and it's kind of like a crystal ball, and it's something that is very, here we go again, sacred, secret. You don't share your patriarchal blessing. I just shared mine with 10 million people, but anyway, you're not supposed to share your patriarchal blessing, and I'm sure it's because it never comes true, and it makes the church look silly. Yeah, I mean, it's a comedy act. It really is. It's smoke and mirrors, and it starts there when you're 12 years old, and then in 2 weeks you get the paper in your hand, and you can say, I have a patriarchal blessing. And mine said it would be a light and a guide for me in this life and in the next. And I'm atheist. There's no next life for me, so it's worse than just if I was a Christian. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you the crystal ball Ouija board patriarchal blessing of the Mormon Church that most of you don't hear about. You don't realize Mitt Romney, and I'll say his name 3 times, Mitt Romney, Mitt Romney. Now the crawler that Mormon Church has in my videos will hear those words and pick up and put advertisement on. And when they put advertisements on, I click on the advertisements and go to the Mormon website because I get paid to do that. It comes up in my check at the end of the month. So I'm getting some of my tithing money back. I think I have outfoxed them. I don't know. They'll see these videos and they'll go, "Oh shit, take your advertising off of his videos. He's already discovered us and he's already knowing how to manipulate us." So anyway, I'm having fun and I'm enjoying my life. And if you want to get a patriarchal blessing, I guess you can join the Mormon Church, have the missionaries come over, and they'll do it for adults. They won't do it for kids under 12. They figure those kids have maturity. They should know better, but they don't. So that's the story on a patriarchal blessing. So if you have questions on it, see your friendly Mormon and your friendly missionary at the door. Thanks.